Hello, how are you? So of course this week we are not really teaching students. Much of what we are doing is revision. And I'm heading to Form 3 class. And all I have to do is find out what areas, gray areas they have. Those are home science students over there. They are doing cooking today. And for me, I'm heading to class because some of them are doing home science, others are not. So for those who are still in class, I feel like since I was not there on Friday, we do look at something in relation to what they need to know. So let me get in there. How are you, class? I've just come in case you have questions. So I'm not coming to teach, but I've just come because you have so many questions you've been having, maybe as groups, as individuals. So if you feel like you have a question to share in class, ask so that I respond. Whether it's paper 1, paper 2, or paper 3. We also did a lot of excerpts from chapter 1 up to chapter 3. So which excerpt did you find that you did not find it easy? Maybe when you are revising. Or there is a poem you don't have an interpretation for it in terms of meaning or persona or mood, attitude, tone. Or maybe you have something from paper 1, whether it's a poem or narrative, and you don't have answers in relation to what to stress, what intonation to use, maybe which aspect of can make it effective. Any of those. Those are very common questions that we see in paper 1, 2, or 3. Yes. The Samaritan, paper 3.
Corruption.
Yeah.
Can you specify the corruptions that the leaders of Maracas did?
We have two ways on that question. You can decide to focus on various forms. For example, bribery. You establish characters who engaged in that. We have Jaden, we have Mosi. Who else? Bembe. Yeah, Bembe collection by motorists. You can also decide, you have now bribery on that. Then you have the aspect of state municipal capture. Municipal capture, we have seen Mosi, we have also seen Bembe, we have also seen Ted to some point. Then we have the siphoning of funds or misappropriation, whereby we have Ted, Mosi, Ramdae, Seimwa. So you have that one, it will be focusing on misappropriation of funds. Then the fourth, which one have we have? Yeah. Nepotism and ethnicity. It's a form of corruption, right? Whereby we are seeing Ted is practicing it, Ramdae, Seimwa, and also even that happens with the favoritism kind of with Jaden. So you can decide that. So that each of them will be focusing towards a form of corruption, and of course you have to bring out those who do it, and when they do it, and how it affects the society. Yeah. But when you come, even governance also has, poor leadership has variety of ways, isn't it? Like when you come to negligence, it is separate. We have abuse of office. Which other? The formation of the gangs and how these leaders tend to use them wrongfully. Then even poor leadership, also you can decide again another paragraph on corruption, because it is someone using an office to do what they are doing. Then selfishness is something you can deal with it separately, isn't it? So that you focus on Mosi and how selfish he is, where does he practice it, how does it affect the people. But you have to get like 3 illustrations on Mosi. Come to Jaden, show his selfishness as an individual. Maybe in the text we have 3 maybe ways in which he's selfish. Come to Mosi. I've already talked about Mosi. Then we have also Ted. Through that corruption, they are practicing selfishness. So you establish even the way they are trying to oust Mosi from office, the way we see them discussing and laying propaganda on how they have to use the groups. Then we also look at Jaden, of course, is selfish when he decides that they are going to be importing what? Grains, whereas the citizens will suffer to buy it. You know, something imported before you buy it will be more expensive. When they raised the rats in the Rondegate, the orchard farm, and then now they release them to the farms and granaries, the stores, that is. So for selfishness, you can go that way. Which other aspect is there? Which other theme do we have that is a vice or virtue? When we come to vices, we have the aspect of firmness. The aspect of firmness and sacrifice, whereby you have to look at the students, then you look at Nicole. Nicole in various ways. Yeah, I think Nicole is the one that really stands on the aspect of being firm and sacrificing. So for her, it can be 3 paragraphs, then another one on Alvita and Montano. Which other aspect? The aspect of hope is only Nicole, only one case of the students again, isn't it? Yeah. Is there any other? The only problem I've been seeing when I've been marking is when someone starts to narrate. You have not told us first what you are discussing, then you begin telling us. And when you see your sentences are starting with although, then, when, you know, like you're just talking, you have not told us a point. Like you have not come up and say, Nicole is hopeful in her life, or is hopeful about the app, and it manages to save Maracas from corrupt leaders. Nicole is hopeful about the launching of the app, or the use of the app, regardless of opposition. And indeed, the app serves in exposing a lot of ills in Maracas. Then another one may be, Nicole is hopeful about having a better governance and doing away with corrupt leaders, even when she is discouraged by Narine. And indeed, she makes it. So that aspect of the topic sentence is where I've seen a lot of undoing. Because some of you have answers, but you give them as narration. And the moment you see you are talking about a book, but you are not beginning with the question, that is narration, it will easily score 0. Then there are those of you who have a weakness in building the background information. I told you, if you want to see whether your background information is thick, see whether you've answered when, where, how, why, you know, those questions. And if it is something that has been practiced several times, like corruption, if it is bribery, bring out all those. Like when Mosi, we see him bribing Nicole, right, in the office. We also see Mosi, when it comes to bribery, where else has he practiced? Mosi with bribery. Not Mosi bribery is there. Then we see also Bembe bribery, when motorists are giving bribes to the officers. We see Jaden is bribed by the people who have cases, and he solves them in a biased way. We also see is it Seima, who collects money before approvals? Is it Seima there? Yeah. So you have to give all those. And when did it happen? How did it happen? Why? And what is its impact? When you come to selfishness, for example, you're trying to show us Jaden is selfish. One illustration is not enough. Tell us, for example, you've told us the part of being selfish in a way that he is actually solving cases when he's paid some money and he testifies it. Come to this other aspect of the Rondegate affair. Show how it would have affected the people within Maracas and how he ignores it and then receives shares at the expense of the citizens. Come to another aspect whereby they have to solve it. Jaden decides to say that let's use utilitarian law. But the utilitarian law does not apply to leaders. Leaders are not the majority, right? In a nation or a county, the majority are the citizens. But for him, he manipulates that law and says, let us apply utilitarian law, but it is not going to apply to citizens coming. It is only going to apply to him, Ted, Harvester, Mosi, Ramdae, Seimwa, whereas we have so many citizens and even the students. He is willing to join hands with these people who are selfish in a mission that is selfish and is going to affect a lot of people. So you show that selfishness. Come to another one. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, so for example, if you have decided a character and you're showing out their selfishness, one illustration is not enough. And that is where most of you have a problem. You only show an illustration that will mean 1 mark. Bring out several aspects of selfishness. If it is Mosi, you understand he has been selfish. Like how is Mosi selfish in the Samaritan? What has he done to prove that he's selfish? Yes. That one is, did he do wrong by doing that? When people are forcing you to be corrupt and you refuse, are you selfish? No. No. I want you to get the side whereby it would affect Maracas or someone. You can see he's pointing out, telling us that Ted is wrong for this, Seima is wrong for this, Ramdai, and on the other side he says, I am clean, and am I even responsible? When you are a leader and you are not taking charge of what your role is, you are selfish. Because at the end of the day, citizens suffer because of that. Any other place where he's selfish? Yeah. We know very well that that app was a very good aspect. In fact, is it Piro who reminded him that what is wrong with it? I can see it's a good thing. But he says, you don't see that this thing is going to destroy us. It is going to expose some things about us and maybe misreport. But he's saying misreporting, only he knows that it will say the truth about them. And he confirms that in the first meeting. He comes and says, did I not tell you? I saw this, and you have now seen how it has brought out all the ills we have been conducting. So which means he refused to launch, not because the app had any mistakes, not because it's going to ruin anyone, but it was going to expose the ills, the evils they have been conducting with the rest of the leaders in Maracas. So those are 2 illustrations. Another one, because you need at least 3 for you to score 3 marks. Another aspect of selfishness for Mosi. Are they only 2? But then you have to speak based on a specific area. Like, are you meaning when he threatens Nicole after explaining all things about the rest of the leaders, and then Nicole tells him, I think this app is the best. It's going to help you to do the best for the Maracas. But he says, I told you to delete. I don't want any sort of person to come and tell me how to lead. If you don't do it, you will have to know who Mosi or Tunya, the smoke that thunders, is. Up to there, you have to relate it to something. whether you are going to talk about him and Ted, or him and Jaden, or him and Nicole. Yeah. So the essence, I hope you are understanding this. Whenever you are building a paragraph, get several illustrations. And as she asked, do you go as per specific sorts of corruption? For example, in her question, I've said that is one way. Or the other one, if you don't know the specific types, go for characters. Because when you look at the Samaritan, we have all those characters and each of them has different corruption. If you decide to go character-wise, tell us about Mosi, you show bribery. Tell us about Mosi, show misallocation of funds. Tell us about Mosi, show the aspect of maybe where we have talked about bribery, then misallocation, then you can talk about municipal capture. Get a paragraph on Jaden. Show us corruption in form of favorism, show us bribes, and show us this aspect of the Rondegate affair. Then go to Bembe, show us bribery, get to show us maybe manipulation, how he tries to conduct manipulation, and show us which other. There is bribery, the motorists. There is he is also involved in misallocation of funds, and he's also involved in the aspect of how is he conducting? Favorism, no, but we see him in what? Even municipal capture, right? Because when he's being used by Mosi to go and handle Nicole, that is municipal capture. He is not supposed to be used to arrest enemies of Mosi. He's supposed to be providing security for the people. So that is municipal capture. So you can decide that way. You go character but show different forms of corruption, or specific forms of corruption with various characters in a paragraph. Any other question maybe that you have, even if it's paper 1, 2, or whichever other? This is a very funny school. I hate this BKK because of such mannerisms. That our class has been interrupted because people have to remove clothes, and they have been outside break time. It's just a few minutes ago. And he called a student of excellence. So how do you continue teaching in such a class? When you get a serious principal or a serious deputy, you will not see this nonsense happening here. Because I've been in several schools and I've never seen, like, you are talking to students, then they run all of them outside during a class hour because there is an hanging of clothes. Schools have specific hours. You are strictly to be told during long break, remove your clothes. But running out of class and you go all of you outside. This is a shenanigan indeed. Those who are inside, if you have questions, raise, because after all, it's about individual revision. Underlining vowel sounds in paper 1. It is pronunciation. You see the word like, let's say, which word? Let's say we have the word boy, and we have another one. Crow. Crow, boy. Do they have the similar vowel? No. So try to read that word. If you don't see them sounding similar, you leave it alone. But if you read, you find they are similar. Like we have words which can have a. They have a, but it is read like a you in the dictionary. we have others, they have U, they have the similar sound. So that one belongs to the same category. Then we have A, which is long, others short, others I, the diphthong. So you have to read the word and see. If it sounds similar, then underline the vowel part. Please, those who are coming out, don't irritate me. Move slowly, settle without making noise for me. Because if I get to a school as a principal and this mannerism, these shenanigans are happening, I'll not stand it. I cannot. You see? Now see what you are doing. This is a disruption of the highest order. So even me, I have to run from here, run to my home and begin unhanging clothes and leave a lesson. Isn't that so? Yeah. You know, it's very ironical. A school whereby students can write, a teacher is not in class, but for them they can leave a class and there's no problem with that. Very ironical. No, you are banging. Why can't you lock it slowly? Don't try my patience. I'm asking for more questions. Yes.
Then, for example, you given a composition here, which says that write a composition showing how to address increased cases of gender violence in our society. Write the solutions only, or do you also write the cases?
That is part B, question 1B. You see, is it this class that I read an example of a discursive essay? Because that is an expository essay. In that case, you are supposed to build for us. For example, within a paragraph, you might be showing how gender violence, is it gender violence or abuse?
Gender violence.
Yeah, you must be showing, like, for example, a paragraph where you say, gender violence is so popular because of cultural practices that are mediocre. In past, it was believed that a man can show his, maybe his strength by asserting himself before a wife. And most of the men therefore decided, sometimes if a woman is showing their strength more, they beat them up. This culture can only be changed if people realize that violence only causes trouble in families. If people are ready to change into contemporary societies and see what is happening in countries such as Japan or maybe China, they'll realize that everyone can be assertive, and assertiveness of women enhances growth. A comparative of Africa and Japan shows that a lot of women have had a lot of investments compared to Kenya or Africa. Therefore, the aspect of gender violence can be stopped if only culture can be changed. Then you go to another paragraph, maybe tell us that gender violence has been a nuisance that has led to the death of many. One of the examples is the popular, you remember the lady who died? Do you know her name? Because it was in Trans Nzoia. You remember the lady from Uganda who died from somewhere? Is it Tongaren or where? You remember? What is her name? She used to be an athlete. Yeah, so you give such an example, you say, such was maybe a powerful individual who could have made it in life. However, because of gender violence, most of her property had been taken away by her husband. And when she tried to assert herself, the society turned against her, not just the husband, but the society. At the moment when she was burned in the house to ashes, people are not ready to even stand for her because they believe the husband has a voice more than her. However, if people understand that gender violence only brings us down even economically, they would be ready to stand for better, maybe ideologies that bring up wealth instead of focusing on taking control of a woman. Then you get to another paragraph. So you are giving both how it happens, then now you give a solution. Because if you only give a solution, it won't be strong enough to show us what are you fighting against. Like what is causing that. Yeah. Any other? Any other question? If you have really revised those papers, you cannot lack questions. You would have a question to clarify. Yeah?
Is this question exact that maybe you are asked to give the attitude of a character?
Question 2.
Yes.
Even question 1, even 3. If, for example, for you, if in fact poetry is your year, so that question can come in question 3 or 2 when you are dealing with whether it's Mosi, Nicole, Narine, Alvita, Montano, Jaden, Ted, Harvester. Then in question. Okay, as I told you, the last line, read through the poem and establish whether it bears the key message. Most times the last lines of a poem, they communicate the key message. So if you read through them, you'll find out what specific message is it telling us. Sometimes it is giving us the resolution, because when even you are composing a poem, you must start with a complaint, you elevate it to the conflict, and then at the end you must give us a resolution. So check the specific poem. It might be giving us the resolution. It might be giving us, it might, consider that door. I don't want it to bang. It might be giving us the main message. So just check with the different poems, because there are poems whereby the last stanza or last line is trying to communicate a message or answering a question that was raised somewhere, or even showing the position of the persona. Maybe the persona has resigned. So they are giving you a resigned tone and saying that regardless of everything, I don't have to struggle, let me just relax. Sometimes that last stanza, as I've said, brings the main message. Maybe telling us that in the world there are so many problems, but you can withstand. Or it is giving us a resolution, just like a storybook. You may start reading the book, there is a conflict at the beginning, it goes up to the climax, then by the time we are finishing the text, we have a resolution like the Samaritan, where the arrest of the leaders by Tajo happens. So check the specific poem. Is it giving us a main message? And you must communicate which one. Is it giving us a resolution? Check the specific resolution. Is it giving us maybe an answer to a question raised earlier in the poem? Check the answer itself and spell it out. Is it clear? Even some may bring a conflict right there. Maybe they have started with a flashback in the poem. Then at the end they are giving us something like a conflict. Check out. That is what the last stanza or the last line does in a poem.
What about the significance of a character?
By the way, that question was asked to you from Mangu, and most of you, in fact, there was only one group that scored. Significance or role of a character, whether it's a poem, whether it is a narrative, whether it's an excerpt, the role of a character and the significance of a character is the same question. You have to check out whether Nicole in that part is playing a role of building other characters, bringing out the character traits of other characters. For example, when Nicole asks Mosi, I didn't expect this of you. You who have been given the leadership of Maracas, how dare you bribe me? That one brings out Mosi as a corrupt individual. Then when we see, for example, Harvester saying, I've bought all the newspapers as you sent me, that character develops the plot of the play. Because by buying the newspapers, they come to know what has happened, and we realize that they are trying to block someone. So a character can show character trait of other characters, and you have to specify. Then they can build the plot of a story or even a narrative. They can also serve in establishing the stylistic devices. For example, when you see Narine saying, the tree that bends is the bamboo that bends is the strongest. She is building the style of a proverb, right? Or a saying. There can be parts whereby she is building irony. Yeah? So you have to establish which particular role is this character serving. They can also help in bringing out thematic concerns. For example, when we see Nicole talking to the students in class, and they are talking about the spirit of the good and bad, we see the aspect of religion because they somehow talk about they talked about the origin of the Samaritan, right? And then now they bring out the story of the biblical story within their discussion. It is also bringing out the aspect of the role of education in a society. So those are 5 roles, are they? 4. Plot, other characters, style, theme. Yeah. So those are 4 significance a character serves in, whether it's a poem, a narrative, or even the excerpt. Any other question you found maybe and you didn't know how to handle? Yeah.
Maybe like you are a club captain. This type of question. Do you answer them with I will or I will?
Whether you use I will or I will or I would, what they want is you customize to yourself. So we want to see that part where you are possessing it, right? So whether you use I would or I will, you will score. But if you just say facial expression, maybe smile, you will not score. So you must possess that question and say, I will do this or I would do this. By the way, that is one of the questions students don't score because they simply say smile, maybe facial expression. And again, don't say facial expression. We have so many facial expressions, which one? Don't say body language, which one? You have to go specific. Because this is a specific poem. If they wanted you to give like that, they would just give a general question. But they have said, you are going to perform this poem. How would you communicate effectively? So get a specific part. This one I'll smile. Maybe this one I'll raise the intonation. Maybe this part I'll have to walk and spread my hands or look up in the sky. Yeah, so you have to specify. Any other? Yeah.
So there's this question from Samaritan. Didn't say if you live in a glass house, you will cross them. What does it mean?
It means that if you are guilty of something, do not maybe attack others using that. Or if you know there is some delicate affair surrounding you,